Governor Gary R. Herbert, 17th governor of the state of Utah. Born in American Fork, served in the Utah National Guard. Owner of a real estate company. He served 14 years as a Utah County Commissioner, former president of the Utah Association of Counties. Today on the county seat, we will talk with Governor Herbert from the Gold Room at the Utah State Capitol, discussing his views on Medicare expansion, prison relocation, public lands, recreation, and energy. Good morning, welcome to the county seat. I'm Chad Booth, your host. This is the show that's about local government, not local politics, and we are interviewing Governor Gary Herbert today in the midst of the legislative session. Governor Herbert, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Chad. An honor to be with you.
Well, the feeling is mutual, I'm sure. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about a recent decision and the impacts that it brings to the state in regards to expanding the health insurance exchange beyond small businesses to individuals. You recently opted or informed the federal government that you did not want to pick up individuals. How's that going to impact the state?
Well, the Affordable Care Act, sometimes referred to as Obamacare, has been a complicated issue, and we have not been able to get answers over many years since its inception to help us know what we could do. Because we started an exchange in Utah way before a law was even proposed in Congress, let alone passed. And we understand the need to have health care reform for a variety of reasons. And so we've started down that road and created our own Utah Health Care Exchange, now called Avenue H. And we wanted to be able to have that opportunity to develop it and take care of businesses and individuals and the things in an exchange, which is really a connector where it allows the individual consumer to take money, go to kind of a portal on the internet and shop for different kinds of insurance programs. We have about 135 or 40 different programs you can shop for now and find one that's individually measured for your needs and not a one-size-fits-all. So that being said, with waiting for the Supreme Court decision, the outcome of the elections, which gives us now some at least understanding of what the law of the land is going to be, we wanted to work with the Obama administration, the Department of Health, to find out what is the role of our health care exchange going forward. As we've gone through this pathway with our legislators, we determined that we did not want to get involved with the individual mandate side. We're involved with the business side, but the individual mandate side, which requires tax credits and subsidy, Medicaid access, some of those things that are more of a welfare assistance approach, we didn't think were compatible with what we're doing. So we've proposed to the Department of Health, and I did it just a couple of days ago, let us bifurcate those responsibilities. We'll take the business portion, which we've been doing, and try to grow and expand that on the business community side. You take the individual mandate side, and let's see if we can't peacefully coexist. And that's the proposal we have on the table. And really for the public, there's not going to be a lot of change under the Affordable Care Act. Those opportunities will be made available by the federal government, and we'll take care of the business side as we've always been doing and had proposed to do.
There have been quite a few states that have actually said no to that side of it, as I understand it.
There's really been three options out there. There is the one of having the federal government do it all. There's one of having the states do it all under compliance with the Affordable Care Act, meaning they do offer the individual mandate side and the tax subsidies and tax credits. And then there's been the one where the states partner with the federal government, kind of the third option. We've created a fourth option. We do our thing, you do your thing, and we'll have parallel tracks that provide opportunities for the public to access insurance.
And many of the counties are concerned about Medicare and Medicaid expansion and the impacts it will have on their abilities to provide health care services in the counties. Does this give you more flexibility at dealing with those kinds of problems?
Well, this has to do with the exchange. The question really is Medicaid expansion for the counties and the concern they have of having to take on more of a burden, a bigger role, which costs them money locally. And the entire issue of health care, and particularly Medicaid, has to be viewed under the auspices of a budget. Can we afford it? You know, can we afford to have this new expanded opportunity to provide health care for people? I reject the idea that somehow this is free money coming from Washington. We have arguments by advocates say expand because the money is going to come from the federal government. It won't cost the state anything. Well, it costs the state taxpayers a lot because it's money that comes out of your pocket. And we're in a situation right now that's really kind of risky for this country's future, and that is we have a situation in Washington where 40 cents on every dollar we spend is borrowed money. Every year, 40 cents of every dollar we spend is borrowed money, caused in large part because of the entitlements that we have in this country. We've become an entitlement society, and now we're adding on top of that this Affordable Care Act and Medicaid expansion. And I would just say to you, the original proposal on Medicaid or on Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, was $900 billion. Today, the CBO estimates just 3 years later, it's $2.7 trillion. It's tripled, and we haven't even really started to implement the program yet. That should cause all of us a little bit of concern about the fiscal prudence of Washington, D.C., and are we leading this country towards bankruptcy? Well, Medicaid expansion I'm going to take very carefully before I make that decision based on a budgetary concern.
Excellent point. Thank you very much, Governor. We're going to take a quick break here from the county seat. We will return with a conversation with Governor Herbert right here from the Gold Room in the Utah State Capitol. We'll be right back.
Bring your family and friends and come celebrate the retreat of winter with thousands of snow geese as they stop in Delta, Utah on their migration north. Pick your adventure in Millard County.
The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. SITLA manages 3.5 million acres of Utah lands with the express purpose of furthering the education of Utah students while promoting local industry, oil and gas, even residential development, all at the same time. Through the careful use of trust lands, we distributed more than $22 million to Utah schools last year. The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration, building the state's permanent school fund.
What do you picture when you hear Rich County, Utah? Bear Lake adventure, snowmobile action, pristine skiing, spectacular solitude. Well, if that isn't what first came to mind, then you just don't know Rich County. The Bear Lake Monster Polar Plunge, snowmobiling Monte Cristo, ice fishing Bear Lake, skiing the backcountry, fishing at the Cisco Disco. Come and find out what you never knew you were missing. Rich County, Utah.
Welcome back to the county seat. We're having a one-on-one conversation with Governor Gary Herbert today, talking about issues that are important to the counties. One of the things that has been discussion for some time is your recreation plan, which there have been rumors about it for months, and it's out of the bag now, and it's a very good 59-page read. Thanks for putting the nice pictures in it. It helps guys like me pay attention all the way through it. Are you proud of this plan?
I am, and it's not the end-all and be-all. This is really kind of a pathway forward. We all know that Utah is blessed with beautiful vistas and venues. Our outdoor recreational potential is significant. It's about $5.8 billion a year that we have as part of our economic growth that takes place in this state. So outdoor recreation is a big part of who we are. It's part of our DNA. It's part of our culture. I think it's good for us to have at least an evaluation of what we can do and what we should do, maybe what we shouldn't be doing, and find this balance that I talk about all the time when it comes to outdoor recreation and also our development of our natural resources, energy in particular. They can coexist and they can be compatible. I think there's areas that ought not to be developed and ought to be off limits, and there's other areas that ought to have mixed use development, and some that is really developed more aggressively. But that's Utah. We have 70% of our land mass is public lands, and so there ought to be a plan going forward, not just for energy development, which I've done a 10-year plan on that. There ought to be a plan going forward of what about our outdoor recreation, and that was our plan for the next 10 years on that. So I feel very good about what we've been able to accomplish in really about 5 months. and I think it gives us a roadmap forward.
There are extremes on both sides of this issue. There's some people that think it should all be developed and turned into a play park, and others that think that it all should be wilderness. Are you worried about a lot of negative pressure from those two extremes?
Well, no matter what we do, we'll have criticism from people, particularly on the extremes. And I don't know what you can do about that. If you don't believe we should ever develop any of our natural resources or energy, that's probably not going to be practical. And to say that we're going to develop it all and kind of rape and pillage the countryside is not practical either. That's why I have a Balanced Resource Council to find the appropriate place and ways to develop, and where we should develop and where we shouldn't. The good news for all of us is with new technology, we can develop in ways that are very responsible and environmentally sensitive. Many of our energy development companies are finding more environmentally sensitive ways to do it by recycling water, electrification of the oil patch, finding ways to, in fact, eliminate some of the pollution that's caused and the environmental degradation that occurs with drilling. So we're getting better on that side, but there's still areas that ought to be off limits for any kind of development. Let me just say too that we have so many opportunities for outdoor recreation, and it comes in a variety of forms. We call it from the backyard to the backcountry. Whether we're out ATVing with you and me, as we've done on some of those great roads we have out there, or backpacking, or fishing, or hunting, golfing. I mean, they're all kind of outdoor recreation. We all know we have the greatest snow on earth here in Utah. And our resorts now are investing billions of dollars in our 14 different resorts, not for just skiing, but for other seasonal opportunities in these beautiful mountains and valleys of ours. So it's big business. We need to find a balanced approach and find the proverbial win-win for everybody, and I believe this will help us do that very thing.
One of the issues that kind of came to mind is that as I read through the outline of your plan, it talked about cooperation with some of the federal agencies, and some of their recreation planning, particularly Forest Service right now, has made some challenges to what many counties feel are RS-2477 or established rights-of-way, and that they're actually saying that they want the forest for recreation, but they're closing off the transportation system. Are we going to be able to work with that and solve that problem?
Well, I hope so. Again, I think people that can get around the table and deal in good faith will find solutions and compromise. Our RS-2477 roads and rights-of-way are things that we believe in Utah that need to be protected. But I know many of our county commissioner friends, for example, are saying, we have roads and rights-of-way out there, we'll give up to find a compromise solution. We'll give up some of the roads that probably are, in fact, defined as roads under RS-2477 to find a compromise solution. We have a pilot program we're doing in Iron County right now, which is near completion. We've had to file a lawsuit on these 19,000 different roads out there because our testimony, our people that can say this was a road, bring evidence to court, are dying off. It's been such a long battle. So we're filing lawsuits to force the discussion to hopefully come up with a resolution in a compromise fashion that eliminates the court. But we're going to defend those RS-2477 roads and rights-of-way wherever they are.
Shifting a little bit to energy policy, what is your biggest frustration moving forward? Because you have, again, a fairly balanced plan, but it seems like it just doesn't come off in the press like it's a balanced plan.
We have a plan you can read. You can see it. You can see what we have. You don't have to wonder. It's a 10-year plan moving forward. We've got some of the best and brightest people in the state on energy. We've had public hearings. We've had an input from environmental groups that helped us shape this plan. And it really is an all-of-the-above approach. I believe in energy in any of its forms. We need a lot of energy. Our world is growing dramatically, and energy demands are growing exponentially. We happen to be blessed in Utah with great potential for energy in many different sources, not just in the traditional carbon-based, but alternative fuels and even renewables. And I say, bring it on. If you've got a great idea to produce energy, we hope you're successful. It's a free market. You got to be able to compete. And we have people that only want to complain. And I say, get up off your chair, quit complaining, and start competing. If you've got a better mousetrap you can build, bring it forward. The public will determine whether you succeed or fail. I don't think government should pick winners and losers, but the marketplace will. We want to help you be successful. Just don't ask us for money.
Is there resistance from the federal agencies that control a lot of the land? I mean, I know fracking's an issue, and again, that's one of those things that's in the media, and it seems to be that it's not really well represented for what it really is.
You know, again, people use forums available to them, whether in the media, to push their own agenda. There are some people who do not like hydraulic fracturing, and I think they distort some of the facts out there. We're trying to work in a sensible way with the EPA and others out there when it comes to energy development. Fracking has been around for a long time. We've found ways to improve it, which is now providing us with lower cost energy and a cleaner energy. Natural gas is a great fuel for us, certainly as we transition, and probably transition away from coal into cleaner fuels. And so this hydraulic fracturing has allowed that to happen. This is good news. We ought to be all saying hallelujah. But we have some that I think want us to stop any kind of carbon-based fuel access and seem to be distorting the facts and the truth as far as what's happening out there. That being said, the state's been very aggressive in working with the EPA and saying we can regulate. We've never had any problems ever in our history with any kind of pollution or degradation of water sources or aquifers of water. And so we're doing a pretty good job of making sure that the regulations are in place that are appropriate and proper on a state level.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a break right here on the county seat. We'll return right after this commercial break.
Good morning. If you're just getting up, it's a cold one out there today. Lots of snow and the commute is ugly.
Grief.
Don't you wish that you were somewhere else? Somewhere else?
Escape from your world and find another in Kanab, the perfect destination for adventure, history, and exploration that can be enjoyed any time of the year. Don't let Mother Nature keep you holed up all winter when you can escape anytime and enjoy the best that Utah has to offer. Come to Kanab and see what we mean.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.
Welcome back to the county seat. We're having a conversation today with Governor Gary Herbert here at the state capitol. Prison relocation. This has been a topic that has been around and bandied about for 2 or 3 years now, and it looks like it's finally moving into a state where there's some real serious consideration. There are a lot of counties that have been contracting, and they're very concerned that the state is going to overbuild a facility and leave the counties holding the bag for their contract prisoners. Is that part of what you're looking at in this relocation?
Not at all. As a former county commissioner myself, I value the support of the counties and the role they play when it comes to housing state prisoners, not only as terms of probation, but also contract prisoners. They're a big part of what we do, and why we're able to do it, I would say, more efficiently and more effectively and with less cost to the taxpayers. So they're a big part of our future too. This really is about following up on an idea that's been around for a long time and saying, let's get serious about it. As we see the growth in technology in businesses, whether it be Adobe, whether it be eBay, Microsoft, others that are coming together at what we call the point of the mountain, we see that becoming an IT corridor. Tremendous growth for businesses there, economic expansion, job creation, and we don't want to have that stifled. A rule of thumb in real estate is location, location, location. Well, that's becoming a very prime location for opportunities for business. And it's probably the most valuable piece of real estate we have in the state right now. It's not a good place there for a prison when it comes to the highest and best use of the land. So if we can find a better location to relocate the prison, and take some of that operation and open it up for economic development. It's a big plus for the people of Utah and for economic development and job creation and for the taxpayer. It'll produce a lot of income tax, more for education, more sales tax. Again, the benefits are significant in that piece of ground over the next generation. That being said, the big question is if there is a place to relocate it that works, and what will be the design and the size and the scope of a new prison. We're concerned about employees and their travel and where it would be located would be convenient for our volunteers. We have about 1,600 volunteers that go to the prison, and they need to have access there that's convenient. Where would a county be willing to take a prison? We have the Gunnison prison down there. It's worked out very well down there, and they would like it. There's probably opportunities to even expand that operation some. But all of those things need to be considered, and I'm just saying, let's get serious about it. Let's find out if, in fact, there's a way forward to relocate the prison, open up economic development, address some of these other legitimate concerns, and find, again, the proverbial win-win-win. Clearly, the model we have at the Point of the Mountain is an outdated model. It's been there way over 50 years. It used to be in kind of the hinterlands. Nobody was there. Now everybody surrounds it. And although they were there first, that doesn't mean we shouldn't make a change to optimize what we can do with the real estate and with prison and management of our inmates.
Well, the design is actually one of the big issues because it's a very inefficient design, as I understand it.
It's very costly, and we're going to have to put a lot of additional money. Some estimates are over $50 million into that if we decide to keep it. And it's almost like putting, money down a rat hole. There may be a better use of the money, certainly as we look long term, by having more regional, spreading it out in different places, and relocating the prison, certainly in a different area. This is too valuable real estate to just house prisoners.
Okay, very good. Enough said on that. Thank you very much, Governor. We'll be right back with the county seat. We're having a conversation with Governor Gary Herbert here in the Gold Room at the Capitol. We'll wrap up when we come back.
Industry is the symbol of Utah. Beauty is what makes it unique. Nowhere else are these two qualities exemplified, like in Uinta County. Oil and gas extraction, pioneer history, the spirit of hard work and integrity that feed our state. Built in the middle of the most spectacular backdrop in the West, isn't it time you found the balance you've been looking for? Uinta County, Utah, where industry meets inspiration.
So what brings you to St. George?
Business meeting.
Staying long?
Just here for the day, quick in and out. On second thought. Holy.
We'd like to invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy your 45-minute flight to Salt Lake.
I should have booked a weekend.
Welcome back to the county seat. We're having a conversation with Governor Gary Herbert today. Governor, just at one last wrap up on the prison situation. As I've traveled around the state in the production of this program, the one comment I hear, and this is not from anybody that's an elected official anywhere, what I'm hearing this from is from people on the street that you meet at the gas station, and they say, oh yeah, sure, they're going to sell the prison and somebody's going to profit from it, and that they're selling it to feather somebody's nest.
Well, I think there are criticisms out there that some mostly unjustifiable. This we will do only if it's in the best interest of the taxpayer. This is designed to open up economic opportunity. Clearly somebody's going to develop or create a job or a business or a manufacturing company out on this real estate. This IT corridor there will create wealth, it'll create jobs, people will make money. Hopefully jobs will be created and then they will pay taxes that come back into the coffers of government. So there'll be development goes on just like any other place in this state. We want to have it. We want to have economic development. It's good for our state, it's good for business, it's good for job creation. But we won't do it unless it's in the best interest of the taxpayer. And we'll find a place to relocate the prison. We're going to make sure that it's in the taxpayer's interest, that they are benefited from this development and expansion that takes place there. And everybody has an opportunity to participate and play in the free market. I don't want to presuppose what's going to happen here because we're a long ways. This might take up to a decade to actually accomplish. But this will be in the best interest of the taxpayers. That's our #1 primary goal.
Very good, thank you. Now, House Bill 148 was the Transfer of Public Lands Act that passed last year. It created quite a stir, probably more than most other legislation that you signed last year. We're now a year down the track. Have we succeeded in getting Washington's attention about land use in Utah through that?
Not only Washington, but a lot of other people. I think all stakeholders, people that have an interest in the public land debate. Here in the Intermountain West, in the West, we have a lot of governors that are looking to what we're doing, having discussions on what they can do and should do in their own states. I think we'll be working with the Western Governors Association and having healthy discussion and debate about the public land issue. That being said, there's interest in Washington, D.C. of what can we do to resolve it. More discussion now on land swaps, land trades, which I think is a good thing. We can take areas that ought to be preserved and protected and swap out those areas for areas that need to be developed and can be developed, and aggregate land in appropriate places so we have development here, no development there. And so there's ways to, in fact, address this public land issue, I believe, that will be the proverbial win-win for everybody. And I'm excited about what I hear and work with our own congressional delegation. And I think we are moving the needle. And I'm excited about what the next 1 or 2 years will do when it comes to resolving this contentious issue.
Well, you were a fairly young guy when the original Sagebrush Rebellion took place. Is this a better rebellion?
You know, we've had 4 of them, really. It wasn't just Scott Matheson, a good Democrat, but we've had 3 others, and now this one, so it was our 4th one. It's always been about the same thing, and it's kind of a complicated issue, certainly fraught with emotion, but we're trying to have a sensible approach on this thing, and I think Washington is willing to listen. As Congressman Bishop has said, and I concur, Utah has been a public land state. Utah will always be a public land state. We want to have more input on the management of those public lands, and so we can optimize the utilization of the public lands. Some of it's outdoor recreation, some of it's farming and ranching, some of it's energy development, and everything else in between. And we can find the right way to manage these lands to the benefit of the public.
Governor, thank you so much for your time today. There are so many more topics we could cover, but unfortunately we're only given a half hour to do it. So,
well, we'll have to do part 2 another time then.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us on the county seat. Remember, local government is where your life happens. It has the most impact on your daily life. I encourage you to get involved in local government, understand it, follow the things at the county level, the city level, the state level, and be a part of the solution. Thank you for joining us on the county seat. We'll look for you next week.